Parental discretion advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to What a Story. Today's guest is a Hamilton comic named Kerri Fargo. Kerri, what's up?
Hey, it's good. How are you, David?
Pretty good. So you're a comedian.
Yes.
How long you been doing comedy?
Very recent. I started taking the class at Levity in November, had the grad show in December, and have been going pretty hard and solid ever since in Salt Lake and in the Toronto, Niagara, Hamilton area. So, yeah.
Well, that's cool. How you
Mhm.
liking it so far?
I love it. I got into it to get over my terrifying fear of public speaking and got sucked in with trying to write the perfect joke, which I think is impossible, but yeah.
All right, so you have a story. What's your
I
story?
do. I do. So several years ago, I decided to go study plant medicine with shamans in the remote Amazon jungle. And I didn't speak Spanish. I knew a handful of phrases. I went with my Spanish English dictionary, and it involved 2 plane rides and a 7-hour boat ride to the middle of nowhere to a village that wasn't even on Google Earth. And while I was there was nothing to do. There was no electricity. And I'm like busy creative. I'm like, what can I do? So I wanted to help build the huts. I wasn't allowed to because I was a girl, couldn't help in the kitchen. So I decided I was going to take the hollowed out log for a paddle around the lake. And the paddle looked like it had been chewed, but I didn't really worry about that too much. I knew there were piranhas in the lake. I wasn't worried about that. I wasn't going in the lake. So I thought I'm just going to go for a paddle. So as I'm canoeing, and I'm going around the lake, taking my sweet time, I see a bunch of people at the shore and they're waving at me. And so I'm like, hey guys, and I'm waving back and I'm, just journeying around the lake. And finally, when I get to shore, I realize they were freaking out because not only are there piranhas in the lake, but there's also anacondas and large crocodiles. And they thought that I was going to get eaten on my second day in the jungle. So it's pretty terrifying. Also, too, the hut that I was sleeping in had a mosquito net that went over the mattress to keep all the creepy crawlies out at night. And I had tarantulas living in the thatch on the roof. I didn't know they were nocturnal, but they crunch around at night. And then the most terrifying night I had, it sounded like the raptors got loose in Jurassic Park. And I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, I found out it was wild pigs. Lots of other things happened there, but that was the main one. Like doing laundry too. One time I had a piranha jump out of the rinse bucket, and we would have piranha for breakfast. They would use the canoe to put the net out at night to catch the fish that we would eat in the morning because there wasn't any electricity, there was no refrigeration. And that was what the boat was for. It wasn't for touring around the lake. It was for putting the net out for the fish. So, yeah.
You.
Yeah, and it's like eating a sunfish. Like it would take me 3 hours to eat this fish because of all the bones. And they were making the assumption that I didn't like fish, but it just took me a long time to eat it. But prior to the fish, we would have something called avena, which is like a liquefied ground up oatmeal quinoa mixture. It was basically like wallpaper paste, and it was on the table in a jug. And so I was like, do we pour it in a cup and drink it? Do we eat it with a spoon? It was like that in between texture. It was disgusting, but that was the main part of breakfast.
And how long did you stay there?
4 months. It was definitely life changing. I mean, in that place, they have a shaman, and most people had never been out of the village. So if you're sick, you go see the shaman, and then the jungle is full of plants. Like that's their pharmacy. There's over 500 plants that they go to for the remedy or for what somebody needs. So I've always been interested in plants like weeds and different things and the soap making I do. And so I went there to learn about the plants. Like that was my most exciting thing. I didn't expect to do ayahuasca, but we also did a lot of that too. So, yeah.
Okay. Any outrageous incidences besides paddling in a lake or a river of piranhas?
Yeah, the shaman's mom passed away after a couple of days I was there. So I got to experience a traditional Shipibo funeral, which was very bizarre. It involved hiking into the jungle for 45 minutes and sitting there while they dug the hole to bury the body. And then we went to a place where all of the other family members were buried, and everyone had a machete, even like toddlers. So they didn't give me any information. They're basically like, get water. We're going for a hike. So we walked for almost an hour. And then when everyone got to the burial ground, they started screaming and crying and running over to where their loved ones were buried. And then they took their machete and scraped any green stuff that had grown on the earth mound. And then they proceeded to sit down on their deceased, people, crack open some chips and some Inca Cola. And I was just like, what's happening? And then two guys are digging the hole, and then they're bringing the mom in this wagon-like thing, and everyone's crying and wailing the whole entire way for an hour. And then when she's finally in the ground and they put the first shovelful of earth on her, the crying stopped. But the guy that officiated the funeral was dressed in full soccer regalia, because soccer is very important there. It was just the most bizarre situation. I don't even know what to say about that. It was weird.
It was weird. Okay. That is an event. I will definitely say that's a memorable experience.
Yeah. And I could go on. I have lots more. But yeah, like just the funeral itself, like just watching them chop the heads off chickens, and then everybody was bringing big pots down to the river to get water to make the soup, and then there was singing and crying, and no one slept the night before. So when we were hiking the next day, I was not feeling well. Like I felt like I was hungover, even though I wasn't. And then also one night I had something get in my mosquito net, like this big like bat-like thing, and I had to get it out without touching it. So I had to scoop it up in a hat. And then if you had to use washroom at night, like it was basically like there was no washroom. It was sort of like an outhouse that you had to hike to. So I'd have to bang the floor of my hut so all the creatures would scurry away so that I could then run out real quick and then come back before anything got me. So, and there was no electricity, so no way to charge a cell phone. There was no cell service there. I was literally in the middle of nowhere. I could have been murdered and stuffed in a hole. I mean, when I think about it now, I think how crazy it was. But at the time, it didn't seem crazy. So I don't know. Midlife crisis, most people get bangs. They don't go to the jungle. So.
All right. Well, Kerri, thank you for that. That was an experience and a half, I must say.
Right.
What are your social medias that people want to find you?
Okay, so I have Kerri Fargo Comedy is my comedy one. And
all right. Well, thanks, Kerri. And I will see you soon.
Okay, thanks. Take care.
Problem.
Thanks, dude. Bye.
And I've never understood raisins, like dehydrated, sticky, embarrassed little fruits. If I was a grape and destined to die, I'd want to be savored in someone's mouth like a fine wine, not end up stuck in their teeth like a rogue pubic hair. And I know the audience is split here. Some of you remember pubic hair, and others have never seen it. And, I'm from a time where we had to bushwhack to get where we wanted to go. Most of you are used to having your sidewalk cleared, your lawn mowed, your bushes trimmed, your weeds whacked. I was getting whacked by the weeds, okay? Like, it was a dark times, dangerous times. I don't think any of you would have survived. It was like perpetual Jumanji. And